Good morning, everybody. Excuse me. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Herbie's Community Cooking Corner. For what date is this? Let me look. September 24th, 2024. Oh, wow. We're on the 24th on 2024. I am Herbie, of course, and today we've got Heidi, who is going to be showing us how to make apple cider donuts. I was hoping to actually be following along with her. I got the donut molds and everything. And the one thing I could not seem to find is apple cider, so I'll have to do some more digging and make these in the future. So I just cheated today, and I just ordered donuts off of Uber Eats. So in this bag right now is half of an apple fritter. All right. Anyway, so that's how we roll here on the cooking call as we do Uber Eats. But Heidi is going to make the donuts. Now, I did send out this ingredients list to the cooking list a couple days ago, including the link to the donut molds, but I will send it out again as a finalized thing. I'm also waiting on Christine to give me the full recipe for the boneless ranch pork chops from last week. And once I get that, then I will be posting that recipe as well. So that is what I've got for you all. All right, so first of all, over in the next room, we got Chanel taking care of the broadcasting, moderating, and streaming today. And across the world, we have Ibrahim, who is hosting us today. So I've got a host. I've got a host that's so close and one that is so far away. So that's how the cookie crumbles. But welcome to both of you. And Heidi is a little bit more freeform when she takes questions. So and I'll let her explain how she wants to handle that, of course. And Heidi, I may interrupt you at times to ask you to describe something a little bit in more detail on what you're doing, but with that, I turn it over to you.
Okay. Yeah. And Herbie, if you can read the ingredients list, I'd appreciate that too. We are doing apple cider donuts. And this is a first for us. We've not made this recipe before. And what's the preheating? All right. So we have the oven preheating at 375, and we actually condensed the apple cider last night. I know that's 2 cups down to a half a cup of apple cider. And right now we have the apple cider and a half a cup of milk on top of our stove to warm it up.
And I am ready with the ingredients list.
Okay, so I'm going to throw it back to you for a second there, Herbie.
All right, so I'm going to read the ingredients list, and then I'm going to ask a question that might be in other people's minds too. So we need 2 cups fresh apple cider, 2 cups all-purpose flour, 3/4 teaspoon baking powder, 3/4 teaspoon. I get paid by the hour for this crap. 3/4 teaspoon baking soda. I don't. 1/4 teaspoon fine salt, 1 teaspoon ground cinnamon, 1 pinch ground cardamom, 1 pinch freshly grated nutmeg, 1/2 cup white sugar, 1/2 cup packed brown sugar. Packed my brown sugar? Never heard it. Oh. 1/2 cup warm milk, 6 tablespoons unsalted butter, melted and divided, 3/4 teaspoon vanilla extract, 1 large egg, and for the topping, 1 cup white sugar, or as needed. So extra, that means, by the way, for the, you don't skimp when it comes to donuts, sorry. 1 tablespoon ground cinnamon as needed. I recommend at least 3, maybe at a minimum, maybe 2. Donut pan, saucepan, mixing bowls, whisk, stove, oven, because you're going to need to reduce the apple cider. Now, this gets to my question. Why reduce the apple cider? Why not just measure out a half cup to begin with?
Huh?
Why? So it says you talked about reducing the 2 cups apple cider to a half cup apple cider.
Yep.
And my question is, why reduce it? Why not just use a half cup of apple cider to begin with?
Uh, from what Nick and I can conclude, it would concentrate the flavors and make it more of a syrup rather than more liquidy.
All right.
That's what we can conclude from this.
Very good. All right. Well, it's I defer now to the experts. So
Okay.
Do we
So,
have a raised hand?
okay.
I'm gonna go to that.
Yep.
Elizabeth. Okay, I
Elizabeth,
see
you can
Philo with a hand.
unmute.
Is this working?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay. Yes, it would absolutely concentrate the flavor. And if you really wanted to concentrate the flavor, you could probably do like you want a half cup of final liquid. So if you have a lot of cider, like we do in Apple Country, then you could put in 1.5 cups and reduce it by even more. Put a cinnamon stick or two in with it while you were reducing it, which would make the cinnamon sort of diffuse through the whole donuts. And possibly, if you're doing the reduction and reducing it that much, you may cut down on the sugar that you put in your batter. I don't know how much the sugar itself actually contributes to the texture of the batter, but I'll bet you could reduce it some. And just use the apple sugars, which would be sort of more genuine flavor and really nice when you reduce apple cider like this. By the way, reduced apple cider is a great thing to use in marinades.
Yeah.
All right. Very good, Elizabeth.
Okay. So what like I said, we did our reduction for the apple cider yesterday. We did that because it may have taken the whole call in order to do that. So what we have already done is we put, considering we were getting a little low on flour, we put our flour into a big measuring cup. So the flour is in, and then what else do we need in that cup?
We need all the flour, baking powder, baking soda, salt, teaspoons, cinnamon, cardamom, and nutmeg.
All right, so we're gonna put all of the dry ingredients into the
minus the sugars.
Into the mixing bowl, or in this case, the large cup. So the salt, the cinnamon, the cardamom, and stuff. And we're actually currently out of regular cinnamon. So Nick's got a spice grinder, and he does have some cinnamon sticks that he's going to whiz up.
These
And so
adding.
Nick's adding in the nutmeg now. You put in what, the baking soda?
Yeah, putting all the sodas.
All right, so we put in baking soda and baking powder when we were getting ready.
And the very expensive ingredient.
Cardamom.
Cardamom.
All right, now he's going to add the cardamom in, which is not a very cheap spice, but I have the spatula for this side. The other spatula is in the crock pot. Okay, so the cardamom is in. Now Nick is going to use the spice grinder, so hopefully it won't drown out Zoom, but this is called making do with what you got. So whisk it up.
Spice free.
Whisking up the dry right now. And like I said, we have the apple cider and the milk. We measured out the milk and then we put it into a regular drinking glass, and we have both the apple cider little mason jar and the milk cup sitting on top of our stove while our stove is preheating to warm.
We do have a couple of raised hands. Just let me know when you are ready for them.
Okay, yep.
Okay, Rachel is up first.
Good morning, Abraham. Good morning, Herbie. Good morning, Heidi and Nick.
Hello.
Okay. I have a question for you about the spices that you're using. Have you guys heard of mace before? And would it work in this recipe?
Mace.
Yeah, mace.
Yeah.
Isn't that when you spray an intruder?
Not that type of mace. I don't know. That's what this particular recipe calls for.
Okay. I don't know, like if you could
It's
like
not a spice I normally see in a store either.
And just so you know, when Nick talks, he is a little bit hard to hear, so maybe repeat whatever he says.
Okay, he said that's not a spice he generally sees in the store.
Huh.
They just started selling sumac in the store, which I was kind of surprised.
He said they just started selling sumac in the store, which is something he's kind of surprised about. And not poison sumac. This is actually edible.
Really? I've never heard of it.
Oh yeah, it tastes like lemon. So it's like a lemonade. You can actually make sumac lemonade, and that's exactly what it tastes like. It's just lemonade. But it's with ground up sumac berries.
My goodness.
It's high in vitamin C, so a little bit goes a long way.
Wow.
Did you guys hear him?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, next hand is Janet.
Heidi ho, Heidi and Nick and Herbie and everyone else.
Howdy.
What is sugar jets? Oh no, that's not what I wanted to say. But what is the spices you're using? One of them I was wanting clarification on. I can't think of the name of it at the moment.
Cardamom.
Yes, thank you. Yes, that's the one. What is that?
What's cardamom?
It's like an Italian spice, like really expensive.
It's an Italian spice that is pretty expensive,
Oh,
but you
okay.
can add it to pretty much anything and it gives it a depth of flavor.
Ah, okay.
Vapory.
So he's put it into meat dishes and it's made it more savory,
Mm.
and a little bit really does go a long way. So like just like a pinch into like if you're doing like a chili, intensifies the meat flavors.
What's the price run on that? Do you know?
Do you know how much ours was?
How much is cardamom?
Yeah, how much
I
the
think it's
cardamom
like
was?
$12.
For how big?
One ounce.
He said for a 1 ounce container, he said he thinks he paid $12.
Oh, okay.
So it's an expensive spice, but we've had that one for a little while.
All right. Thank you.
Nope, no problem.
And then we have Elizabeth.
Hi, can you hear me? Because I don't know if I hit the right button.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, you were cutting in and out. I had to come in again. Okay, so a couple things about spices. If you want your spices to last a long time, put them in Ziploc bags and label the bags and put them in your freezer. They will last longer. Cardamom actually is a Middle Eastern spice. For those of you who like Indian food, it's often put in rice. In Indian, it's used in Eastern, like Asian cooking, particularly Indian, Pakistani, Afghanistan cooking. And they use it
It's
in rice.
actually from India,
Yeah, yeah. And it was one of
all
those
three
things
types.
that was one of the things that the Europeans wanted to get, both types. There's a couple different types. There's green, I think, and I'm forgetting
There
the
are
other
three
type.
types.
I missed the
There are
third
three
one.
different plants.
Yeah. Oh, wow. They actually threw it. I didn't know that. A great place to buy spices, and you can get them in small quantities in packages if you don't want to pay for the bottles, is the Spice House. And they're in Chicago and they're on the web. And if you find the site difficult to use, you can call up the 800 number and they say right on the website that they're really willing to speak with blind people if you have any kind of trouble with checkout. And you can find things in there you never knew you wanted and want a lot. But the trick with spices is really to put them in the refrigerator. And the other thing you could do is when you were cooking down that cider, when you put in the cinnamon sticks, you could also put in a cardamom pod, and then you wouldn't have probably had to add extra cardamom. And you're better buying the pods than the powder because the powder tends to not be as fresh and sometimes not as good quality, shall we say. So you're better off buying the pods and grinding them or putting them into a dish in a stew. Buy a spice ball. It's like a giant tea ball and it's cheap and it's a great investment. That way you can put your bay leaves and your things in that and then chuck it in your soup pot or your stew pot. And you don't have to fish out individual cardamom pods or bay leaves or cinnamon sticks or something. So spice balls are really good to have.
Yep. And actually, I do have a recipe for homemade apple cider. We just didn't make it from scratch.
Okay. And then we have Melissa.
Okay, so the apple cider donuts, you do have to poke a hole in that, right?
No,
You don't?
nope. We have a donut mold, so they'll be baked in the
Oh,
donut mold.
oh, cool.
But
And
you
those are
can
the
actually, if you want, you can freehand them, drawing a donut shape on a cookie sheet. We've not done that. We don't know how that will come out, but I have heard you can do that.
right. But no, I know, but the donut molds, they make the donut holes for you.
They make, yeah, they have a cavity inside of them, so it's shaped like a donut, but it has like a round pyramid thing coming up through the middle.
Oh,
So it forms the donut hole, so you don't end up having to cut the donut hole out. You form the donut around the middle.
oh, okay, cool.
Yep, and I sent the link to Herbie, and he said he sent that out on the cooks list. So that is actually the donut molds that we have. They're silicone. They come in a 2-pack, and each pack, each tray has 6 donuts in them. Most of the recipes, I believe, including this one, call for the 2. However, we've figured out that we've actually had to make, we've actually had to reuse one because it made 4 donuts more than what it said it was going to. So it also depends on how high you fill them up as well.
Oh, okay. Herbie, I wonder if you could text that to me so I can get it. I don't know, how can I?
You want the link to the donut molds?
Yes, please.
All right, I will send that to you.
Thank you.
And when we made the apple snickerdoodle muffins, when I went to take the muffins out of the tin, most of the time you got the muffin and the liner kind of fell back into the tin, which was absolutely great. So I'm in love with that right now too.
Okay. I want to try to make muffin doodles, so.
We got Elizabeth back up as well.
I have a
Thanks,
question.
Abraham.
Yeah, I have a question. Thank you. When you made it, is the dough really soft?
For the apple snickerdoodle muffins,
No, for the donuts. Or you've never.
we've not made this version. We have made a couple
okay.
of other ones.
Uh-huh.
I wouldn't say it's like cookie dough batter, but I wouldn't say that it's like cake batter. It's a little thicker than cake batter.
Oh, so it's not like biscuit. It's not like drop biscuits. It's
No.
more like, okay, then okay, this is my take on this. And I'm just going from years of making scones and stuff. If you've got batter that's thinner than drop biscuit dough, which is reasonably thick, but it's not the rolled biscuit dough kind. So those of you who bake will know what I mean. Okay, but if you've got thin batter like that and you don't have donut molds, I would not freeform them on a cookie sheet because you're going to get donut cookie. Now they might be good, but you won't get donuts or anything like it. So I would go with the muffin tins with that kind of batter personally. If you don't have donut molds.
My sous chef is getting ahead of me here.
Yeah, blame it on my ADHD.
I will. Anyway, any other questions?
We clear for now.
Okay. All right. So my sous chef has gotten ahead of me here. So, we have a second bowl, and he put the
Sugars.
both of the brown sugar and the white sugar in it,
Put in vanilla extract.
and he put in vanilla extract.
And I got a large egg.
And right now he's got a large egg.
2 tablespoons butter, melted butter.
And I am going to melt the butter right now in my trusty dusty microwave. If you guys have a device, I'm going to be using the E command and see if my microwave will work. Echo, microwave for 20 seconds. And all right, I'm just going to go for 30 seconds. My sous chef has ADHD, so he's like, okay, got to do this, got to do that. So he's a little ahead of me. And that is our oven. Again. We're melting the butter at the moment. All right, you do it for how long do you think?
I guess.
We have a secondary Pyrex measuring cup that we're melting the butter in. And he actually needs 2 tablespoons of melted butter for this step. But in total we needed 6, so we're just melting the butter itself. Any questions right now? Not from you. We don't have any tuna. Pat me out at us.
We're clear.
Okay.
Oh wait, Melissa.
Not making
Melissa,
tuna donuts.
go ahead. You're muted.
Okay, so
There we go.
so the like the you know how like when you make the putting the apple cider in, it's like a syrup, right? Like when you put the apple cider in for a syrup.
We haven't gotten that far yet.
Oh, okay. But you
We
said the
haven't
apple
gotten that far
cider.
yet.
But you said the apple cider is like a syrup when you.
I believe, huh?
You said that the apple
Yeah.
cider, it's like
Yeah,
a
the
syrup.
apple cider right now, because it's been reduced, is more of a syrupy consistency rather than a liquid.
Oh, okay.
As of right now. Right now it's still warming on the stove with the milk.
Okay.
Okay, so what else is next?
Whisk until combined.
The dry or the wet? All right, so he's taking the whisk out of the dry mix and tapping it off, and we are mixing the wet ingredients until they're fully combined. Sounds like they're almost done.
Mhm.
All right, so that's all combined right now. So what's our next step?
And it's the apple cider reduced and the dry ingredients.
Okay, so now we're gonna put the reduced apple cider into the dry mixture. Want the spatula for that? Once you get the lid off. Well, it was, there you go.
Apple cider reduced the dry ingredients. So yeah, like so I'm gonna mix this in with
You want the spatula? All right, here's the big spatula. All right, so now we're adding the apple cider to the flour mixture.
add the wet to the dry.
What about the milk?
So the same people thing.
Oh. All right, so he put the apple cider in the dry mix. Now he's putting the wet in the dry. I think it says the other way around, but
It says add apple cider reduction and the dry mix.
yeah. We're doing it the other way around. Says that add the dry to the wet, but the wet is smaller than the dry. So we're adding the wet to the dry. Same diff. And then mix.
So one need to not overmix.
Okay, it says mix until blended and don't overmix.
It's more like that.
Yeah. And he's got a spatula that he is getting the dry mix out of the bowl with, or the wet mix out of the bowl. How does it feel when you're mixing it?
With resistance.
Okay, so he's mixing it up now, and he said that it's got some resistance right now when it's mixing. What?
That's actually so nice.
Well, that's why I gave you the spatula, Goofy. I guess in this case, I'm the sous chef and Nick's the chef.
We do have a raised hand if you'd like to
Okay.
take it. Elizabeth.
Yeah, so I've been reading things about how to make things like biscuits and scones and such come out well, and it always talks about not over mixing. And one of the suggestions I've read about is did you sprinkle your flour into your wet ingredients, or did you do it the other way around?
The other way around.
Okay, so you had the wet ingredients and you poured it into the flour.
Yes, because the other cup was bigger.
Okay. All right. But what did the recipe say to do?
The other
You
way
know?
around.
The recipe said to take your flour and pour your wet into it, or pour the
No, to
flour.
pour the dry into the wet.
Okay. So that's part of the thing about pouring the dry into the wet that is good is you can do it slowly. And you can lower your need to mix as much by pouring the dry into the wet and then letting it sit for, maybe 5 minutes or something. And then it will absorb some of the liquid. And yes, you'll have to mix it, but you won't have to do as much hand mixing. And apparently you end up with less of a risk of tough baked goods. So just go with that and take that tip as you will. It's what I've been reading on fancy cooking sites. So yeah, there you go.
Generally, that's what I do.
Yeah, generally we do that, but the one with the flour was bigger.
Oh, no, I mean, I understand that sometimes
Yeah.
you have to not do what the recipe says to do because you have circumstances or something.
Exactly. So what's next?
All right, and just a quick note, I have sent the recipe out already to the cooks list, and it does include the link at the bottom for the donut molds.
Okay. Thank you.
And the Dropbox folder is also updated with that, so.
Okay, so what's next?
It's fun to interpretation. Spoon or pipe the batter into the prepared donut pans.
Okay, did you grease them?
Fill them about 3/4 of the way up. No, I did not grease.
All right, so we're going to spray out the do two first. We're gonna do we're gonna do 2 donut molds first and see if we need anything. I have a Ziploc. Oh. All right, so yeah, do 2 donut molds first, and then we'll see if we need the other one. And we've done I think we've done 3/4 full, and we prefer doing half only because it comes out better. And so our fancy piping bag, none other but a Ziploc bag. And then we're gonna cut the tip off of one corner of it. Here's your Ziploc. Here's your holder. No. Apparently that's what you went to get.
We do have a raised hand.
Okay.
Jan.
Hello.
Hi. Go ahead.
Quick question. Just wondering how long you cook these donuts for.
What was that?
Just wondering how long you cook the donuts for.
We haven't gotten to that part yet. 20 minutes? We haven't gotten there yet. I think it might be 20 minutes, 25 minutes.
Thank you.
Yep. We check them. We do the finger test if they.
We have to cook them longer.
We test them a couple of different ways. The first way we test them is we do the finger test and see if it springs back. And if it does, then we do the toothpick test because we're at a higher elevation. So sometimes it takes a little bit of finagling to get the recipe so it comes out right. Next month, we are going to be doing another donut recipe. And this one we have done before, and it does come out pretty darn tasty. Okay, so now Nick's got it into our gallon-sized Ziploc. And he's using our kitchen scissors to cut the tip off of the side of one of the corners of the bag. And then he kind of shuts the bag a little bit and then pushes the batter down into the corner that's been cut off. And he's piping the donut mold about half full-ish. And then we usually run a damp finger around the top of it to kind of flatten it out a little bit. Is that one thicker than the other batter that the other two we've done?
A little bit.
Okay, so the other two types of donuts that we've done, this batter is a little bit thicker than that, but that's okay. We've actually done, this will be our third type of donut we've done. We've done pumpkin donuts, which we're doing next month. We've done Nutella donuts, and then this would be our third attempt at donuts. Nothing about the milk yet, huh?
I think that's for the topping.
I think that is for the glaze. And I know the pumpkin donuts has a glaze, and so did the Nutella donuts. We did not use the glaze for either one of them. The pumpkin donuts were good the way they were. Next time we do Nutella, we probably will try the glaze, but so how many got done? Okay, so he's working on filling up the second mold right now. We're gonna need the third mold or no? Okay, so this one is gonna make most likely 12 donuts. I did get out 3 molds just in case, but I don't think we're gonna need it. Do you have them on separate cookie sheets? Okay, and what we do, even though they're silicone and you can put them right in the oven for stability purposes, we put a cookie sheet underneath them so that they don't go slip sliding around and then you lose part of your well fought for goodies. And then I have a cooling rack ready for when the mold does come out. How are we doing? You're all done? Do we have any batter left?
A little bit. Make a thingy.
All right, well, then we can spray out the donut mold, and the other donut mold, or we can hold on to that.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, yeah, hold on to that for now. We have a little bit of batter left, and I'm gonna actually have Nick hold on to that because we do have a mini muffin tin, and I'll just have him do a couple of donut holes with the mini muffin tin a little later. So right now the oven is preheated. And
bake in the center of a preheated oven until tops are lightly browned. The donuts bring back slightly to touch 10 to 12 minutes. Let cool for 10 minutes in pan before removing.
all right, so it says bake for 10 to 12 minutes. We are gonna try 15, only because we're a little higher. So are there any questions as of right now? You got it on the stove? Okay. No questions?
No raisins.
Herbie, would you like me to do the second recipe? It is quick.
Yes, go ahead and do the second recipe, but to tell you what, I'm going to get a couple of preliminaries out the way first, because we're going to say goodbye to our streamers in about 15 minutes. So I'm just going to go ahead and say now real quick that if you would like to continue on after the top of the hour, we are still on Zoom and Clubhouse. And if you do not have the Zoom link, well, what's stopping you from joining the ACB community call list, which you can subscribe to by sending an email to community@acb.org. That's COMMUNITY @ACB. I think I know how to spell that. ACB, I think. .org. And just send your name and the email address and say, I'd like to be added to the community call list, please. And you can be one of the thousands that are on the list. Okay, maybe it's not quite thousands, but I do believe it is over 1,000. And but don't let that stop you from because no, it's not high traffic or anything like that. You just get about 6 emails per week, occasionally a seventh one with the community call list, one for the weekend and one for every other day. And in fact, I know it's easy enough to do. Melissa, for instance, who used to just be on the cooking call, recently joined the list and discovered that she enjoys calls like Conversational French, which happens later today at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. So you'll learn about all the calls that, not just the ones I advertise, but the ones that I don't. So I highly encourage you to get set up with the list. Also in Clubhouse, you can join the ACB club and see some of the calls that are broadcast into Clubhouse and participate that way. And also the ACB Cooks List. And highly encourage you that it's related to anything cooking related. It's not just the cooking call, so you'll see things from It's Electric on there as well. And you can subscribe to that by sending a blank email to acb-cooks@acblists.org and get set up with that. And of course, you can find the Cooking Corner on YouTube, where I did upload last week's call, by the way. And just look for the playlist Herbie's Cooking Corner. I don't think I know if it's relabeled to Herbie's Community Cooking Corner or not. I should double check that. But anyway, take a look for that. Take a look at that, and you'll find us on YouTube. And there's a lot of other great calls happening today. We'll talk about that a little bit later on, but I want to get to Heidi's other recipe now.
Alrighty. Well, apparently we figured out where the milk comes in, but yeah, at this point it's too late. All right. So what this is sorry, I don't have a better name for it, but you can actually use chicken or beef, but we call this beef slop. And this is going to be dinner. And we're doing it with chicken. So I have about a pound of chicken. Take out that spatula, please. And I've never seen this container before, but it almost looks like a large container of bologna, but it's square. And it has plastic that you peel off of the front of it. So I'm just going to take the chicken out. So what I'm going to do is I'm taking the chicken pieces, the chicken breasts, and I'm putting them into the crock pot. Yeah. And there are 3 large pieces of chicken. Doesn't really matter if they're overlapping or not, because at the end of this whole thing, they will be cooked down to the point where you can just tear them apart with a fork. So those are in the bottom of my crock pot right now. My crock pot, I think that one is a 4 or 5 quart, so it's not overly huge. And then what I'm going to do is normally move my phone over here. Normally, the cream of mushroom soups that we get have a pop top on them, but this one does not. Where did you put the spatula? Is it? So I'm using can opener I don't like. Open the can. Very carefully. Where's the spatula? Now I'm going to take the cream of mushroom soup that is in the can, and I have a little tiny spatula that came with actually my 8x8 inch silicone molds, and I'm just getting as much of the cream of mushroom soup out as possible.
And just to let you know, we have 10 minutes left for the stream.
Okay. This won't take hardly any time. And that's really all I need that spatula for. I have 2, and that was a regular 10.5 ounce can of cream of mushroom soup that I just added. And then I have, how big are these cans, hon? The mushroom.
4 ounce.
Take that one. I have 2 4-ounce cans of sliced mushroom. Where's the Lipton? And I'm adding 1 of the cans of mushrooms now. And then I'm going to have my sous chef put in the packet of Lipton onion soup mix. And then I'm going to add the second 4-ounce can of sliced mushrooms.
We do have a raised hand.
Okay. And the second
Elizabeth.
4-ounce one's going in. Yep.
I have a quick question. It's about your crock pot. Does it actually have a switch on it, or do you use it via an app of some kind?
No, this one all of my crock pots, I was very specific when I was having Nick help me get them.
Right.
They have a dial. And this one I think has what, 3 settings?
4.
4. Right, this one has 4 settings. I'm putting the lid to the crock pot on now.
Got it.
And it's what? Low, high, warm.
Do they click
off.
when they turn?
Yes.
Can you give
Low,
me the
high,
brand name, please? And I will keep you in my thoughts at all moments for the rest of my life. I want a brand name because I have a small one with a switch that I adore, but I need one size larger.
Hamilton Beach.
This is the Hamilton Beach. What are the other 2 we have? Are they all Hamiltons?
Yeah.
Great. Excellent. Okay.
No, what that was a crock pot.
One is a crock pot brand. Is that the medium one?
Yeah.
Okay, we have in this house we have 3 different size crock pots. The one
I
we're using
understand.
now we call our small one. That's a
Right.
Hamilton Beach.
Right. And what do you think that is? 2 quarts, 4 quarts?
How much do you think that is? What, 4 quart? Something like that?
I've got the small one, and I think that might be 4 quarts. I think, I'm not sure.
Warm, low, high.
Okay. Yeah,
But you've
I think
seen
it's
them.
about
I've
a
got the
4
really
quart,
small.
and the switch for this one is what? Off, warm, low, high. Okay, so ours is off, warm, low, high
Excellent.
for this one.
Yeah.
And then the medium-sized one that we have actually has locks that are on the side where the handles are. That is a crock pot brand. That one
Okay.
does have the knob as well. And the big one, is that a Hamilton?
Hamilton, yeah.
And the big one that we have is the Hamilton Beach. We actually just did our second batch of our stew that we make
Yeah.
yesterday. Or not yesterday, the day before.
Yeah.
And we used the 2 big crock pots. Our 2
Right.
big crock pots, I think, are 6
No,
quart
see,
and an 8 quart.
yeah, that's huge. Okay,
Oh yeah,
I'm
yeah, they're
glad
big.
I'm glad. I just need the one size bigger because I need to be able to make applesauce because yeah, and I only have the small one. I do have one that I got that I thought would work, and it has a dial, but the dial gives me not only temperatures, but specifies time. So it'll say medium 3 hours.
This one just has one dial.
Right.
And it clicks, and it's for this. All 3 of them are a little bit different, but this one is off, warm, low, high.
Got it.
Okay. So yeah, so for this particular one, that's what the dials are.
Yeah, I never saw one where the dial was affixed to a timing option, which made it not one I wanted. the dial
Yeah.
would have worked. Have you ever seen that? I've just never ran
I have
across
not.
that. I got it as a gift. The person said, "Oh, look, it's got a dial. It'll work for you." And it would have worked for me if it had not been paired with these timing options that turns it off in some period of time, and I have no ability to know how it's on or off, I don't think. I'm
Yeah.
checking it, but it seems to be true that it looks like, physically you would think it would be accessible, and she meant well. She got it at a yard sale, and she went, "Oh, look, this will work for you." And it would have if it didn't have these silly things. So I'm trying to figure out if there's any way to disable the silly things and just use it for the temperatures. And if I reach a solution, I will share with my group here. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey.
All right.
We
So
do
for
have another
this-
raised hand.
hold on one sec.
Okay.
For this particular recipe, you can cook it on low for 6 to 8 hours, or you can cook it on high for 3.5 to 4 hours. And we're actually going to we're going to cook it on high. So right now the knob is all the way to the left, and I'm going to turn it all the way to the right, and it's 3 clicks. 1, 2, 3. And now it's on high. So hold on, Echo, set a 3.5 hour timer.
Good morning, Heidi. 3 hours and 30 minutes, starting now.
Okay, so that timer is now set. So I'm ready for questions.
Petra. Petra, you're still muted.
Good morning,
Oh, there we
morning,
go.
everyone. Ibrahim, you're doing a fantastic job. I am so impressed. You are fantastic.
Thank you.
Everyone else, you're fantastic too. But you just covered what I wanted to know, which was how long and what temperature. So that's what I needed to know. And this chicken recipe sounds really, really good to me. Thank you.
Yep. After the call is done, I will type up this particular recipe and I will send it to Herbie so that he can send it out to the cook's list. And you can use, with this, we have used beef and we have used chicken. Other than that, I do not know what else you can use. The other thing is what we serve this on is either mashed potatoes or we will serve it on cooked egg noodles. And it makes an awesome meal.
Now, have you ever tried serving it on a plate?
Well, okay. Yes and no. I think that actually it would do better in a bowl, and that's the way I eat it.
Oh, no, see, good thing I asked that question. You would have left out that very important detail.
And you can actually put it over rice if you want. It just depends on what you want.
Details. See, they do matter. All right, do we have any other questions?
And the
We
cat's
do.
jumping at the window.
Janet.
Could you use fresh mushrooms?
Yes, you could.
How
Yes,
how
you
much
could.
how
You
much fresh
absolutely could.
how much of the fresh mushrooms could you use?
What I would probably do, and I'm gonna get out of the way because Nick's got the cookie sheets coming out of the oven. Check them real quick. Not done yet. Okay. Yeah, he said they're not done yet. Well, depends on how much of a mushroom lover you are. If you're just going to be doing fresh mushrooms, you probably would want to add a little bit of liquid, because I just took the entire can of mushrooms, both of them, and dumped them in. My mom, when she made this recipe and taught me how to do it, she only used 1 can, and I'm a mushroom lover, so I wanted more. But yes,
and
you
I'm
can use...
taking the stream off the air.
Okay.
All right.
But yes, you can use fresh mushrooms if you'd like. I would add some water. With the amount of salt that's in the mushrooms, the soup, and the Lipton onion soup mix. We don't add anything. We don't mix anything until later on. We'll probably let it go for about an hour, hour and a half or so. And then we will stir it a little bit just so that it just goes just so that it cooks a little bit more evenly. Where was the milk supposed to go into?
The wet.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the milk's supposed to go in with the wet ingredients, and Nick just caught that after the fact, so we'll see how this version comes out. I know that we'll probably be doing this version again, but
Thank you.
yep. And we have plenty of potatoes, so that's why we're doing it over potato tonight. So. Any other questions?
Area code 612. Can you identify yourself?
It's Amy.
You spell that?
Welcome,
There.
Amy. AMY, right?
Amy.
Oh,
Amy.
Amy. Okay.
Okay, I have two questions. What happens if you don't have a donut? Oh, what do you do with the donuts? That's the first one.
You could do them in a muffin pan. They wouldn't be technically donuts, but you could do freehand, but we haven't tried that on a cookie sheet. So you could do it in a muffin tin, that kind of thing.
Could you make them like biscuits where you just make like little patties or balls on the cookie sheet and then they spread out? They wouldn't be donuts per se, but you could still poke a hole in them afterwards.
They would most likely end up like pancakes. The other thing you could do, because we do have a little bit of batter left, and after the call, I'm going to dig out my little, I have a mini muffin tin. And what you can do is instead of making donuts, if you have a mini muffin tin, you could actually make donut holes. Okay. And just do like maybe a tablespoon or two of batter in each of the muffin wells and do it that way.
And then my other question is, what happens if you don't have apple cider? Can you do it with apple juice or can you just skip it?
I don't honestly know. I can't see why you couldn't do the same thing and reduce the apple juice down to a half a cup, but I don't know.
Okay.
I would think cider is a different consistency than juice, but this is why I'm not a baker. I'm
I think it might be too, but
we were talking about this very thing last week on Tuesday Topics. If you missed it, check out the archive because we were talking about cooking, but the differences between cooking and baking. And I talked about how I've done more baking because of you guys than I would normally do because I prefer to cook than bake. I'm a lot less precise. All right, do we have any other questions?
No raised hands.
All right, so Abraham was a star. Abraham was a star today until the very last minute. I don't know if he's still a star in Petra's eyes, like if he's above the rest of us or not. But anyway, because after Petra's comments, I just can't help but think that the rest of us are chopped liver compared to you, there, Abraham. So anyway,
this is one step down from stroganoff. So I think the only thing you would have to do to add for stroganoff would be Herbie's arch nemesis, sour cream.
Terrible stuff.
But I'm not a fan of stroganoff, so.
And you'd also do the egg noodles for like a stroganoff as well, but all right. So let's take a quick look at what we've got coming up for you all. And first of all, next week, Haley returns, and
Nope.
Oh, nope.
Nope, because there's no 30th.
That's right.
That was my bad.
So Heidi confused me. So we start with October, and I actually get to be in the kitchen once again. Yay! And I'm looking forward to this one for next week. Orange chicken. Then Patty Fletcher is going to be joining us on the 8th and talking about jack-o'-lanterns and how to decorate them. Alfredo chicken pot pie with me again in October. I know Chanel will be looking forward to that.
Me too, but I can't be on that call.
Well, you have the recipe so you can make it ahead of time and let me know what your results were so then there's something to compare it to.
We'll have to do that.
All right, and then 22, we get Heidi doing pumpkin donuts from the Food Network and pumpkin pull-apart bread. And mason jar desserts with Haley on October 29th. So that rounds out your month of October, and it'll be exciting, me being actually in the kitchen again next week, doing my own thing. I've not done that in a while, and yeah. All right, so anything else from you there, Heidi?
If you guys want to do a cooking call, get in touch with me or Herbie.
Yep. In fact, Becky, who expressed interest last week, and I have been talking, and she mentioned some interesting things. And by the way, one of the feedback questions I'm getting from people that want to present is they want to know what types of thing you guys are interested in learning how to cook. So any feedback you want to give either on the call or email me through community so we know what direction to take the cooking call. Do you want more Instant Pot recipes, for instance, or crock pot recipes? Do you want more baking? Do you want more cooking? Do you want more healthy cooking? We do that too. Not as much, but we do it. Anyway. So that type of thing. One of the things Becky had mentioned that she might be able to do is Christmas candy, and I think that sounds good. But so yeah, let us.
December's pretty wide open, so.
Yep.
November and December are pretty wide open, so.
November and December, and I'm gonna look at the meatballs recipe that you gave me, Melissa, and see about doing that in what that month is, November. So that'll be interesting to see if that's feasible or not. I only took a quick glance at it. It definitely looks good. I just need to see if it's workable for the cooking call or not. So I may do that. It's a Mexican meatball soup. So and I'm not even gonna begin to try to pronounce it right now anyway. So and with that, I don't have anything else at the moment. Do we have any raised hands for
Nope,
Heidi or anything in general? Yep.
No, other than the fact the house smells awesome right now.
All right, so I guess our last question is, what is your address?
Well, I would give it to you, but I may not be able to.
But
I'm up in North Country in ski country, so.
Yes. Well, that's that's the area I stay away from in the wintertime, and skiing sounds fun.
I'd love to, but I can't.
Well, all I'll say is Houston is really big. Texas is big in general.
Yep, exactly.
And very good. Okay. Well, I want to thank everybody, Chanel for connecting and moderating and streaming, Ibrahim for doing a star hosting job, and with that, this is a final... just want to real quickly mention, it's not food related, but we do have Apple Bites tomorrow night. And no, it's not the edible apple, it's the iPhone apple. And we're going to be exploring a jungle tomorrow night. Oh, no, I'm sorry. We're not going to be exploring a jungle. We're going to be learning how to use Safari on the iPhone. So that's what we got. And what better site to practice on, I guess, than Amazon? Because isn't that, like, if you go through the Amazon, isn't that a Safari? But I digress. So that's what I got coming up for you. And then, like I said, next week, I'm actually in the kitchen. And we'll talk more about that next week then. So thank you, everybody. And on that note...
Thank you, Ibrahim.
Yep, thank you, Ibrahim. Thank you, Chanel. And you two may end the respective rooms.